Americans all over our country are awakening to the realization that something is very wrong, terribly wrong in our government. Many of these Americans cannot put their finger on what it is, but they feel it deep in their gut. Some of these good Americans understand that after a 100-year departure from the principles of limited government, the last threads of our divinely inspired Constitution is being ripped to shreds.
Hear, hear.
They also know that if the voters don't immediately take back our government from the politicians, that our children and our grandchildren will rightly blame us for not being good stewards of their birthright of freedom and liberty.
Yes. Amen.
That's right.
Amen.
That's right.
However, today's patriots don't just have a gut instinct that something is wrong with our government, nor do they just know that the Constitution is being violated. Today's patriots also know that we are living through history. Just like generations before us in 1776, 1860, 1941, and 2010, our liberties and freedoms are being threatened. It is not enough to know and recognize that our country has serious problems with our own government. The ultimate question is, what can the average American do to preserve the freedom and liberty for our children and grandchildren? The answer and solution is very simple. It is the Constitution. The American voter has repeatedly elected and re-elected ambitious politicians who have no intention of honoring their oath of office to support and defend our Constitution. The sad truth is that we have no one else to blame but ourselves. Because we as a nation have the government that we deserve. But the good news is that we as American voters must stop electing lifelong career politicians and instead elect courageous, constitutionally principled statesmen and women who will actually honor their oath of office. You might ask me, that all sounds well and good, but how does who we elect as our county commissioner have anything to do with what's going on in Washington, D.C.? My answer to you is, it has everything to do with it. Because all politics is local. And if we have any hope of correcting the problems that are occurring in Washington, D.C., we must start with our own county. Let me give you just one example. This year, several county commissioners proposed a complete ban on citizen comments in the commissioner meetings prior to their making decisions that affect the citizens. The very idea that our local elected representatives would propose a ban on citizen input before they make these decisions is not only outrageous, but it is offensive. But the real question is, who does the government belong to? Does our government belong to the citizens who created it, or to the elected officials who are only interested in pushing their own personal agenda, even if it goes against the will of their constituents? If our elected officials had the attitude of humble servant leadership instead of the divine right of kings, our elected officials would welcome the input the citizens who came enough and cared enough to come and express their questions and their concerns regarding pending decisions that would affect their lives. The fact that our county's elected officials would place strict 3-minute time limits to public input and then have the gall to recommend banning any comments in the commissioners' meetings is all the evidence needed to reveal the attitude our current administration has for themselves and the contempt they hold for you as their constituents whom they were elected to serve. I believe that there is nothing wrong with our constitutional form of government, that a little house cleaning at every level of county government would solve a lot of these problems. We don't have any control with who we elect, who other parts of the country elect for their representatives. But it is my hope and prayer that the citizens of Blount County are ready to deserve better representative government. Let me say this, and then I will open this up. We have a choice. We can keep electing and re-electing politicians who will smile, shake your hand, lie to you, and do whatever they darn well please. Or you can elect principled, constitutionally honest representatives who love the Constitution and will take their oath of office seriously. The choice is up to us here in this room and in our district. And it just saddens me that we are at this point. But it's my prayer that enough Americans are awake enough now to put a stop to this before it gets any farther.